So, as we all know, John Collins was suspended for 25 games this season, which makes it a little tougher to evaluate how his year is going, but we do have a bit of a sample size at this point. It's been 22 games played for him. The Hawks are like 7-15 in games he plays. I don't know, take that for whatever it is. I think with Collins, there's two interesting nuggets that are being added to his game so far this season. One is he's shooting more threes, and it's been pretty okay so far, 35% on about 4 a game, and he's playing a little bit more center. And to go with that, he has improved on defense. And I think those are two big questions about where his career goes and how good he can be as a player. You know, is he just going to be the finisher around the rim, or is he going to be able to make shots from outside, and can the Hawks play him at center, which allows them to have another perimeter guy on the floor? And, you know, the questions about if he can play the 5 are just because he's not the biggest dude in the world. Like, he's very athletic, of course, but he's 6'9", and his wingspan is not crazy for his length or anything. But I do want to start with him playing center a bit. So, up to this season, or before this season, whatever you will, he spent the majority of his time playing with either Dwayne Dedmon or Alex Len. So, power forward, of course. Whereas now, the lineup that Collins has played in the most has been him, Trae Young, Herter, Cam Reddish, and DeAndre Hunter, which you could view as the lineup of the future for the Hawks, right? That's what they would hope for. And that lineup's actually been a positive so far this season, so that's intriguing. Now, that lineup's defensive rebound percentage is 70.8, which is 30th in the league. Should I care about that? Should I not? I don't know. The offensive rebound percentage is about mid-tier, which I guess you could expect with Collins at the 5. Collins does grab a good amount of rebounds, so he's averaging about 10 a game, but the goal is to win the rebound battle more so than just see how many you can individually grab. Now, because the Hawks are investing in these tall wings around Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, Kevin Herter, we would think that the collective could be a pretty quality rebounding thing with Collins. So I'm not really too concerned about that rebound number. And it's only in 106 minutes, so there's definitely more time to be played with those dudes. But I think it's something to care about nonetheless. Now, if we just talk about defense, I mean, I think you could say that Collins was looking better defensively before he got suspended, and I think that shows kind of across the board. I mean, his defensive numbers are all better, the blocks are up, defensive win shares and all that stuff is improved. For what it's worth, his defensive win shares are almost exactly what they were a year ago, but he's played 22 games as opposed to 60 last year, so, you know, if you want to buy into that type of stuff. I think watching Collins defend, can he be a big-time rim protector? I don't know, but I think he can definitely be a mobile defender in the sense of step up on screens, switch onto guards. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to really perfect that stuff. Now again, he is getting 2 blocks a game, so you could say, well, he already is that really good rim protector. I wouldn't really go there yet because, I mean, we know Gobert, Anthony Davis, Miles Turner, especially last season, Joel Embiid, these guys might get 2 blocks a game, but there's another 15 plays where they stop the other team from even thinking about going into the paint or just all that type of stuff. And I don't know if Collins can get to that level. He had a recent block against Van Fleet, where Van Fleet beat him on the initial action. He didn't blow past him, but he did get by him. But then Collins was able to block him from behind. I feel like Collins is definitely capable of doing that kind of thing against some perimeter players. So that's cool. And then as far as will Collins not get overwhelmed physically against bigs if he's playing center a bit more? I mean, how many teams really have a guy who you're worried about like that? Yeah, there's Embiid and there's Jokic and there's Anthony Davis when he plays center, which isn't that often. But most teams do not have a dude who you're just terrified of matching Collins up with. So I feel like Atlanta should be fine playing him at center against a lot of teams. Now, if we fast forward a couple years and they're making the postseason, they could make the playoffs next year, assuming they have a good offseason and stuff. So, like, in specific matchups, could we get a little concerned? I mean, sure, but how many teams really have, like, an answer for Joel Embiid? Like, there was one, and Philly signed him, so I don't know. I think Atlanta will not be destroyed by John Collins playing center, assuming that the rebounding can be good enough, and I think it can be, assuming it's a team effort on the defensive glass. If we move over to Collins' offense more, I mentioned the threes. His three looks cool. His form looks solid. Whenever he goes up with it, he has a solid amount of confidence. I've looked at a few of his missed three-pointers, and it's not horrible. There's not a lot of, like, barely hitting the rim or any of that stuff, so he's on line most of the time. He seems competent going up with it, so I have pretty decent confidence that Collins can be a solid outside shooter. So then you look at a guy who might be able to defend a few positions, still be the finisher and the rim roller, and his post-up numbers are good even if he doesn't do it that often. And he can be a floor spacer, and you start to think, man, this guy could be like a really, really good player for the Hawks. I mean, he already is a good player. He's averaging, 19 and 10 this season on some damn good efficiency of 62% true shooting. So I think then the only questions are, well, number one, he still has to do those things. Like, I can talk about his potential from three and on defense all day, but he has to make it happen. He's made progress, but he has to keep on making progress. But then we start to talk about his ball handling. He doesn't do a whole lot off the dribble. And if it is, it's like one dribble, attacking a closeout, that sort of stuff, which is cool. I mean, it's better than nothing. But there's not a whole lot of Siakam things going on for John Collins right now, in terms of beating guys off the dribble or any of that stuff. But that is me just nitpicking a little bit. Collins is definitely like an interesting, good player right now with a lot of room to improve for Atlanta. If we can talk about his playmaking, I don't think it's done much of anything this year, which, okay, you'd like to see that improve, but he's improving overall. And there's a chance that the last whatever games of this season he really, really goes off, because it's going to be tough to come back after being out for that long. Not physically, but system and teammates' chemistry besides Trae Young, all that type of stuff. So that is it. John Collins, he looks good.